We all dream a lot. Some are lucky, some are not. But if you think it, want it, dream it, then it's real. You are what you feel. This is a lyric from Andrew Lloyd Webber in Tim Rice's musical, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. My parents took me to see this musical when I was just a little girl. This is the story of a boy named Joseph. Joseph is different from everyone around him, including his own family. But he has this very special connection with his dad. He has these prophetic dreams, and he bravely shares them to help others around him. He stays true to himself, and he continues to show up in the world as his authentic self, despite the ridicule and vitriol that he experiences. Circumstances lead him to his rock bottom moment, but Joseph continues to share his dreams, and he rises once again. It was that special Technicolor Dreamcoat that his father gave him that helped Joseph realize his differences were meant to be celebrated, not hidden in plain sight. I was so touched by this musical. The story and the music spoke to me so deeply. And my favorite song was called Any Dream Will Do. It inspired me every single time that I listened to it. And I remember so vividly my parents telling me that I should listen to this song every morning to remind myself that I could do anything that I dreamed of. This advice changed my life because it was at that moment that I decided to have unwavering belief in myself and my dreams. I was building my own Dreamcoat. Now I want to take you back a few years. I am 6 years old and I'm a few weeks into grade 1. And at the start of every school year, my parents would meet with my principal and teacher to make sure that all my necessary accommodations were in place. This included a buddy system for me, which would allow my best friend to come with me to the washroom just in case I needed help. And this year was no different. Then one day, I asked my teacher if I could go to the washroom, and she said to me that I could go, but I had to go alone. And I remember being so confused, and I can still hear little 6-year-old me saying, "But miss, my mom and dad told me that I was allowed to bring my friend." Despite my pleading, she looked back at me and she said no. And I remember sitting on the bathroom floor this day, alone and scared, trying to problem solve. And in the end, I figured it out. But it was on this day, at the tender age of 6, that the universe assigned me the role of an advocate and a problem solver, and I accepted my mission. I realized that outside the comfort of my own home and family, it was me and my Dreamcoat against the world. But regardless of what others believed, I knew that I was unstoppable. Now, looking back at that moment when my teacher said no, I realized that that 2-letter word has meant something so different to me than everyone that I've encountered. For most people, no means feeling defeated. It means being told that they can't do something, or it is another door closing, leaving them unable to ask the question, what next? We've been conditioned to be a yes society. We are surrounded by people pleasing, and we prioritize living based on the expectation of others. And the result? An epidemic of low self-esteem, indecisiveness, depression, anxiety, and an ever-growing number of people living in a constant state of burnout. When you are born into a world not made for you, you become accustomed to hearing the word no. Each no required me to pivot and find my own yes based on my individuality. I have harnessed the power of no. And I'm going to share with you 3 experiences of no, how they transform the trajectory of my life, and how these lessons learned can help you do the same. So here is my number 1. When the time came for me to decide what career path I would pursue, I chose to be a lawyer. I thought, hey, since I've been making a case for myself from the age of 6, fighting for justice in a courtroom would be a cakewalk, right? Wrong. It turned out that the profession that is supposed to be built on justice and equality didn't want me either. I was denied accommodations to write the law school entrance exams, and without them I couldn't apply. So before I had even stepped foot inside a law school, I was engaged in an appeal process, and I was eventually successful. And after I graduated, I went on to practice in a profession that was full of barriers. The courthouses are not fully accessible, and I was a family law litigator. So I had to figure out my own accommodations. And I did this by making more money so that I could hire someone to assist me at the courthouse. And by the age of 28, I was so tired of working harder than my colleagues while lining someone else's pocket. So I quit my job at a prominent law firm, and I went on to build a multi-city firm from the ground up. I was a very successful lawyer. I had clients waiting weeks to see me. I had reached the epitome of success. And it is through this experience in law that it became clear to me that being separated from the pack does not mean that you have fallen behind. It is giving you the permission and the tools to lead you down a different path, your path. So now let's talk about my number 2. Number 2 forces me to address the elephant in the room. You may have all noticed that I have a disability, but throughout my life I rarely talked about it because it never seemed to serve me. So I ran from it, and this is what kept me safe. Until October 25th, 2023, the day that I lost my dad, the person that I shared my dream coat with. And this was not simply the loss of a parent. You see, my dad had the same physical disability as me. He was a lawyer and he was an appointed Superior Court judge. Our lives were paralleled. And although I may have lost my teammate, I was bound and determined to make sure the world would know about our dream coat. But in order to do this, I would have to come out of hiding. So I fell into a deep depression. And I knew that I was meant to do something unique in this world, but I didn't know what it was, and I didn't know how I would find the strength to move forward. So in my desperation, I remember saying out loud, "Dad, if you can hear me, help me find my way." And I know that he did. Because I realized that my only way forward was to use my life's experience to help others. I had to start talking about my disability instead of being ashamed of it. And when I did just that, I realized the most amazing thing about myself. My disability's been my superpower. The one thing that I was so afraid to talk about has given me the strongest and loudest voice. And it is through my voice that I have always found freedom. And I now know that my life's purpose is to change the world by teaching people the beauty in our differences. So I learned a very deep truth. And that is, in order to find your life's purpose, you have to radically accept every single part of yourself. There are absolutely no shortcuts. And this leads me to my number 3. After I lost my dad, I will never forget the mornings that I would wake up laying in bed thinking to myself, I'd rather be dead than to go to work as a lawyer. And I realized that after loss, we are expected to return to our same old routines, but you can't because you are a totally different person. And I started to bravely share how I was feeling with my colleagues, and I was so shocked when they looked back at me and said, "Yeah, me too." And they were sharing this from a place of acceptance. They had totally accepted this as their reality. And the truth is, misery and burnout have become the norm. And for some people, it's a badge of honor. But for me, this felt like a prison sentence, and I refused to continue to say yes to this. So I listened to my intuition, my feelings of burnout and self-betrayal screaming at me. And this time, I got to be the one to say no. This is when I realized that my current career was no longer serving me, and it wasn't the way that I could serve others. So I quit law. Every single no that I had experienced in my life was preparing me for this journey. And that is what I knew I had to say yes to, which is why I am now dedicating my life to helping others do the same. One of my dreams was being on stage to help inspire audiences one story at a time. And here I am today. Every single dream I have brought to fruition did not happen by chance or luck. It happened because I consistently took the biggest risk I could ever take. I risked it all, and I bet on me. From the day that I sat in that theater, I learned to shut out the noise of those telling me I couldn't do what I dreamed of, and I continued to risk it all on me. The greatest leap of faith you can ever take is to unwaveringly commit to your belief in you, because when you do, you will live to witness the greatest rewards, all born from something that was once just your dream. And my friends, please release your fear of no. It is so much more powerful than you think. And if you can only remember one thing, remember, any dream will do. Thank you.